much for this evening. Meetup number 57. How's the volume back there? Good? Yeah? Everyone got a beer? Or a drink? Yes? All happy? Good work. Thank you all for coming this evening. As you all know, AWS reInvent was on last week in Vegas. Who else was here last week? Are there even? There? 1, 2? None of you guys were there? No? Yes, they were all there as well. Cool. So tonight is a different format. All we're going to do is we're just going to do a bit of a panel session. So how we're going to start is, we got 2 mics, but one is a lapel mic. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a quick intro from you guys, name, who you are, what you're doing, and a highlight from reInvent last week. And then what we'll do is we'll go through some of the services that were released during the keynotes last week. Then we'll break, have some beer, pizza, chill out, do some networking, and then we'll get back into more details in the second half. We have a couple of bodies here, just one from AWS tonight. Does everybody know Andy from AWS? Yes. Yes? Okay, so any questions, just crowd around him and ask him loads of really hard questions. Yes? Cool. Alright, so I'll just pass the mic along. We'll start with you, Rich, just a quick intro.
Hi, I'm Richard Tompkinson from Cloud10. I'm the principal infrastructure architect there. We're an AWS Advanced Consulting partner. So we went to reInvent last week as part of the partner program and went to a lot of sessions around the new services.
I'm Reece Shannon. I'm the Director of Cloud and Services for Western Australia and New Zealand. We're a distributor of AWS in Australia and New Zealand throughout Asia Pacific. Probably the highlights for me last week were the depth of some of the large-scale partners now migrating across to AWS, as well as some of the AI technology and marketplace elements as well.
Hi, I'm Matt Ray. I'm the Manager and Solutions Architect for Chef for APAC. Before moving to Sydney, I was the Director of Partner Integration and worked directly with Amazon. The highlight for me was Chef Automate, which Amazon launched the first tier service. The other interesting thing to me was, surprisingly, the snowball stuff. So I can talk about.
Hi, I'm Steve Ringo. I'm an independent AWS architect consultant. Yeah, so much to talk about. You know, it was pretty awesome. But I think probably one of the biggest things for me was the idea that you can now query S3 as if it's like some kind of big data store. Athena is called. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Andy Halley. I'm a Senior Systems Engineer at TripAdvisor. Oh, I got a fan club, yeah.
The local favorite.
I'd say the highlight for me was just the various networking after the sessions, seeing what everyone else is doing on AWS, and kind of just realizing how small we are compared to everyone else. Everyone's doing massive deployments in AWS.
Hi, I'm Gilles Baillet. I'm the Cloud Center of Excellence Manager for AMP. So we are an enterprise customer for AWS. And, I was also part of the AWS Warrior program on Monday. We got all the announcements before everyone else, so pretty special reInvent for me this year. I guess the highlight for me was the talk about James Hamilton, who is the Vice President of Amazon and also the Distinguished Engineer. I don't know if any of you have got a chance to watch it. It's unrelated to the new services that were released to customer. It was all about what is happening in the backend, like how AWS managed its physical infrastructure, and that was amazing. More to come later.
Paul Wakeford. I went over to reInvent. I was sent by Fairfax Media. I'm a systems architect with them. I'm also a AWS partner independently. Best stuff for me was, I guess it was the evolution of the serverless stuff. So there was a lot more Lambda at the edge, Lambda on devices, expansion of API gateway, things like Athena. Just seeing the iteration of the serverless stuff was the highlight for me.
Cool, thanks everyone. Sorry, I forgot to mention, thank you TripAdvisor and Jared for putting on the venue this evening and the drink. So, thanks guys. Have you any words to say, Jared? No? All good? Excellent. Cool. So what we're going to kick off now is, I have to agree, I saw the James Hamilton, I definitely agree with, have a watch that. It's so interesting to see the scale and size and scope of the global infrastructure that they have. Like even if you want to reduce latency between regions, say you set up VPC pairing and connect two VPCs in two different regions, you're going to get a much better connection and lower latency between those regions. So it's really interesting backhaul infrastructure stuff. But with that, some of the highlights are up there. So what we'll do is we'll just discuss some of these in the first session. So if anyone want to start on this service? Yeah, I knew he put up his hand.
I guess the one that is pretty cool here for beginners, for like people who start with AWS, is Lightsail. That allows you to package your instance very quickly without feeling the pain of having to understand what a VPC looks like, how to stand it up, what the dependencies. So building quickly an instance and later on being able to bring it back into your VPC. I find it's a pretty big step for AWS to be able to quickly get something up and running in the cloud.
Yeah, Lightsail, I guess, is a bit like DigitalOcean. Hop on they call it VPS, Virtual Private Server. So, now interestingly, at this reInvent, the first time they've done this was they had these things called Minicon. So there were a few of them. The ones that I was interested in and can remember are, there was a security Minicon, there was a containers Minicon, and there was a serverless Minicon. And basically what you could do was, reInvent's become so big that they've had to spread it over 3 hotels now. And so I tried to attend sessions at the containers one and the serverless one. I think finally AWS are getting their containers act together, because I think ECS kind of sucked until recently, and they've just released an open source project called Blocks, spelled BLOX, and that kind of looks like the missing link, the thing that's going to make it sort of, be out there with Kubernetes and Mesos and all of those.
So what's interesting about Blocks is it's actually one of the first things Amazon has open sourced. Supposedly they've hired a couple of new open source evangelists. A couple of them were named last, and Adrian Cocroft was one of the people pushing to open source more stuff to get more involvement from their active users. And so Blocks is the first thing. And what's interesting about it is if you've been following along with Kubernetes and the likes of those, they're trying to abstract you away from your IaaS. They're trying to give you a standardized compute and containers layer so you don't have to care what's underneath. Blocks is very AWS specific. It actually hooks into CloudWatch events. And so if you're all in on AWS and you need your containers to know about the life cycles of all of your different services and trigger off those, you can do some really powerful stuff dynamically, auto-scaling containers based on what's coming out of it. So it's kind of cool.
I think it's fantastic, because I believe if you've made the commitment and the investment to go in with AWS, then go all in. Take advantage of everything that it has to offer. So anyway.
Yeah, the all-in thing was a lot of the keynotes that they the session, especially around the large enterprise customer events. Standard General talking about so they were getting risk management in regards to that. Their spend on an hourly basis running up, I think it was 1,700 servers. So they're doing large jobs and analysing risk across the business. They're banking. They were spending, I think it was about $650 an hour running up 1,700 servers. Now, if you consider what it is to spin the data center and manage that investment, so I mean, that economy of scale, that power is tremendous. There's a number of other examples. Finmart was another one that was standing, which is the authority in the US, who had migrated all 20 petabytes of their database, largest database in the US, and their acceleration was also. I don't know if Finmart, but it was 20 petabytes, decent for one day.
So I'll probably talk about the Athena. Is that okay? Did you want that?
Yeah.
No. So when they first announced it, I thought you can do standard query language. You can query like a database query against S3, and I thought, why would you want to do that? Because if you're getting your logs off to a proper relational database, there are a couple of really good use cases for that. So CloudTrail is probably one of them. So CloudTrail sits in S3 buckets, but it's all like a big JSON slab. So you could actually query your CloudTrail entries, so who's made an API call. Or if you're dumping your Apache logs to there, ideally you want to use something like a Sumo Logic or a Splunk, but if you just want to sit some logs in S3, you can like query your access logs just via standard query language, which is a nice thing to have.
I'd like to just call out a couple of the Alexa-related services there. So there are a couple of really clever things that Amazon did here. They gave everyone who attended an Echo Dot, so they gave away 30,000 Echo Dots as well as the hoodies and t-shirts and stuff that they usually give away. But you can think of what will happen when 15,000 developers go home and start writing Alexa skills. Just end users go home and start playing with Alexas and those skills. The explosion that we'll see in the usage of Alexa. And they've actually pulled out the software that is inside the dots. So there are now text-to-speech and speech-to-text interfaces. Is this working? Text-to-speech and speech-to-text interfaces. So, I mean, we've been looking at the uses that you could do within domain, for example. It would be a similar thing with, I guess, with TripAdvisor. It would be very easy to talk into an app, a TripAdvisor app, and say, show me the 4-star hotels that are within 5 kilometers of a postcode or zip code or whatever. And it would look it up, your data, and then read it back to you and say, okay, here are the top 3 rated hotels. Would you like to book one of these? Yes, I would. Just go on there, you can do a proper conversational interface. I think it's a very exciting development.
Yeah, I now order my Uber with Alexa. I get my weather forecast with Alexa in the morning, my news flash stream. It's just awesome. It's plug and play. Like you just go home. Unfortunately, there is no app yet for Apple devices available in Australia. But from your laptop, you just connect to alexa.amazon.com, and it recognizes that you have an Alexa on your local network connected to your Wi-Fi, helps you connect it to your Wi-Fi, and off you go. You're just ready to enable skills, and it's amazing. Like, listen to my accent. I couldn't imagine that the first time I was talking to Alexa, she would understand my accent. Like, obviously, she's like learning as you speak. But I had no issue. I didn't have to repeat myself a second time. Right, really blown away. And I've got a strong accent.
We were playing around with it in the office this morning. Even the range on it is incredible.
Oh yeah.
So like people far away from it, we're still able to talk. Yeah.
It has 7 microphones embedded in there. 7 microphones to allow like a range of 10 feet, I think.
Yeah, with Lex, I mean, that was a real highlight for me of the whole event, was talking about, if you think about workflow in business, we've never really quite got it right. And we've developed lots of enterprise systems that require lots of people to maintain them and manage them, and then we've gone for really simplified systems sitting on things like SharePoint, which require a power user to make them work. Lex is the opportunity to really change that paradigm forever. And if you look at the chatbots that we developed with things like Slack, this kind of takes us to another level. Their first integrations are with Facebook Messenger, so that's the first one to integrate with natively, and custom applications, and they're going to announce some more over the next couple of months. But the lexicon side of things, to what you were just talking about, Gilles, it was amazing. And but also the workflow side of things, more data, easy with Lambda, it is to access all these different disparate data sources. I think from a workflow point of view, there's an opportunity for a revolution in that entire space as Lex starts to mature.
I mean, the IVR is dead, right? Long live the IVR. I'm hoping that this is the start of seeing, proper interaction through your telephone or whatever it is, or even through an app where you talk. You just say, instead of press 1 for this thing and for that thing and whatever, just what do you want? All right. Triple. And there was a case study done with Twilio, who's like a virtual voice over IP and SMS and so on. I can't wait to see the Lex meets Twilio apps that are going to. So I think there's a potential big and good be there.
Well, and they offered up APIs for text and for text to speech, speech to text, and vision. But they also are giving you the building blocks for building your own sorts of AI subsystems. The FPGA instances and the GPU instances. Google open sourced TensorFlow back in April, and that runs on those sorts of instances. It's optimized to run on programmable hardware, do large-scale scalar mathematics, which is what GPUs are for. And so, I don't know how long it'll be till they offer TensorFlow as a service, since it came from Google, but they're clearly expecting to get those workloads.
Yeah, so there was a definite focus on machine learning and human-machine interaction. There's recognition, it's called with a K, which you basically just upload it a JPEG, or I don't know if it does animated GIFs, and it'll tell you what's happening in there. And I believe somebody went and took a capture, which was asking show me which of these are trees, and then sticking those into recognition, and of course it got them right every time.
Much better than mechanical.
Yeah, and also you've got the reverse, which is the text to speech. So they've kind of given you all those building blocks for building something truly interactive. Nothing, no computer involved whatsoever from that perspective.
Cool. Anyone here using Oracle?
What's that?
Yeah, Oracle. Yeah, Oracle got such a bashing this time. So
even more than last year.
Yeah, even more than last year. But anybody excited then about the Aurora Postgres? Good migration path. Happy days. You can get out of your Oracle now and migrate to Postgres Aurora. So I think a lot of people would be interested in that.
So one thing on that. So about quite a while ago, Amazon announced the database migration service, which you can, in theory, point it at a target database, either an Oracle from a certain version level, and you can do an in-place migration to either RDS or a like-for-like of what you want to run in the cloud. And you can also, theoretically, maintain active state replication between the two on two different database platforms. So we're actually talking to someone who wants to move from Oracle to Aurora. This is before the Postgres came out, the MySQL Aurora. I mean, there are some steps involved in doing it, but it's a really good test case. So potentially very soon, getting out of Oracle or anything you want to get out of and into, it could be a lot easier and less painful. So there are a whole lot of caveats depending on what you're going from. So I know that the SQL Server, if you're using DMS with SQL Server, things like hardcore stored procedures is a problem. Blobs can be a problem if you're storing blobs with Oracle. It can be. So there's another service called the Schema Migration Tool. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Schema Migration Tool. So you can actually run that in read-only mode against your source database, and it will basically give you a report on all the issues that might come about. So if you've got a very simple schema, it could just go, nah, you're good to go, just run it, plug it in. Or it could come with now you've got all these, fix that up. So it's really, really helpful. We have used it successfully on a simple migration. This one coming up won't be as simple, but I can report back at a future time.
If
we're going to talk enterprise stuff,
Alexa.
we can't really not talk about somebody driving a big truck on the stage. So if you haven't seen this in the first keynote, it's about three-quarters of the way through. Talking about Snowball. So a year ago they announced Snowball, which was a large disk device that you could stick on your. You get shipped to you by AWS, has a little Kindle on it. You fill it with data, send it back. All the data again gets sucked onto S3. So this year they announced the Snowball Edge, which was larger, so it has more disk in it, but also has the equivalent. I think it's an M4 2XL. So it has some compute as well, which is pretty cool. So you can do compute stuff on that too.
It also has S3.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
And S3
and integration. NDFS support.
And then
and everything else.
And then they drove a very large truck on stage and said, and this is our newest version of Snowball, which is the Snowmobile. And it is a sealed container. It just has at the back a very small office almost, so you can just get a chair in there. You can plug in your network, your fiber, your power, and it was it 100 petabytes? 100 petabytes of storage. So you can plug it into your network, transfer your storage in there. When you're done with it, bring them up again. Say, come on, bring the truck driver back, drive it back to their data center, and they'll put it all back on S3 for you. So if you have, we laughed. We didn't think. We thought it. Somebody said, "Is this an Onion headline?" when it was first announced on Monday, and they said, "No, it's actually true. And we do have enough customers. AWS has enough customers for the R&D and manufacturing of a truck full of racks." So it's just.
Anyone here got 100?
I don't think we have 100 petabytes.
When they announced it, they said it takes 3 months to get this 100 petabytes out of your data center onto the snowmobile with a 10 gig link. It takes 10 days to get it into the closest AWS location and 3 months to transfer it back, which seems like ages. But if you try to do it over one link, it would take you 20 years.
Wow.
It's amazing. You wanted to add?
Well, I mean,
question. Did they mention which companies are likely to use
Jared was asking, do they have any examples of somebody who's going to do this? The example they had was, I can't remember the exact name of the company, it was one of those who does overhead photography, like Google Maps style. And they had all of their stuff on premise, on a massive SAN, and they just put it all onto S3. And they said, this is the only way we went to do this. We've got this idea for you. And so they're transferring all of their high resolution over to it.
Well, the truck is cool, but what I found interesting about the Snowball Edge was the compute. They actually mentioned how much memory is on the device and the equivalent of the instance type that it's running. This is Amazon putting hybrid cloud in your data center. This is they specifically called out that this can run some of their services in your data center. It can do Lambda processing in your data center on data before they push it upstream. That's they've pish-poshed at hybrid cloud for a long time, but this is actually backing it up with a way to get you evacuated out without a full truck. But it's the first step, and tie it with the VMware, continuing VMware announcements that they keep talking about, to extend your vCloud instances into your VPCs. They're really working to evacuate you out of your data center, without you ever spending any more money there.
But data center containers have been around for a long time. Putting storage in.
Yeah.
One other thing, to follow up on, they want to get rid of data centers. One thing that was announced on Tuesday Night Live with James Hamilton was the death of the mainframe. I don't know, it was before my time, but they are still around, and people want to get rid of them. And they officially announced a partnership with Infosys whereby they're going to basically kill mainframe in your data center, and they're going to do it progressively. But yeah, that was one of the other services along with Oracle and other are now dead.
So just any questions at the moment? Anybody got some questions? No, of course.
I just wanted to hear more about Athena, actually. We kind of only briefly touched on it, but it sounds like it was a pretty major announcement.
Yeah, so I was just using it before, Jared. For the exact use case of Cloudtrail logs. Of course, you can query for in the last 7 days with your space. Loading this up. Sorry?
Data lake, unstructured data. Like you still need
to know the of your data. You still need to have an idea of your data. Create. If you know what data you're dealing with, JSON, or text, anything.
It's based on the Apache Presto project. It's based on the Apache Presto project, which has been out for a while. Like I said, it does CSVs and JSON structure. As well as the ability to define new schemas based on. They didn't invent something brand new, but they made it available as a SaaS.
So about the F1 instances, the PGA, did they talk about use cases or why they're doing them?
Did they? Crypto, yeah.
And like, basically anything you can do hardware. You can do hardware accelerated or something. So any kind of crypto, like password cracking, that kind of thing. They also said there'd be a marketplace as well, so you could buy, I guess, sell your own code for it.
One of the really use cases of that is emulate and that.
I guess that would definitely the mainframe thing as well.
So just a question on the overall AI subject of a friendly salesperson from IBM comes to talk to me about Watson. Is there a viable alternative here?
I don't think for Watson per se, because I think Watson's been abstracted up a level. Basically throw anything at Watson, I think, and it'll do something with it. So certainly a lot of machine learning stuff, but I don't think at the same level. There's an IBM Watson meetup down the road.
The other side is on recognition too. So the Ali Cloud, who's the large infrastructure provider out of China, they're really far down the line with stuff, especially on the recognition side of it. So I think it's a bit play too on this side.
Well, and they were the fourth company to announce it. So yeah, it's totally different. You want to mention? Oh.
Sorry. Look, I've just got a query about Amazon Poly. Does it support multiple languages? And what do you mean by deep learning?
So it's got 47 different voices, and is it 14 languages? 24 languages. So, and like I said, and different accents. Does it
amongst those languages?
Does it learn the accent?
Sorry, Jim, can you repeat that again?
Yeah, it's also got a lexicon feature. You can actually pronounce Gills, like I'd say. So you can actually train the system to also set a different context. So that's
Cool. Very awesome. So we're just going to hang on one more, and then we'll just wrap it up for a bit of networking. I think there's some pizzas coming.
Hi. What do you guys think about the new upcoming Hawaii Trans-Pacific cable? It's going to be a huge bandwidth, 30 terabit, 6 times faster than Southern Cross.
Very cool.
Is Telstra going to still control it?
Don't think so.
The link itself, it's 6,000 meters under the sea. It has to be, the signal has to be repeated every once in a while, and all repeaters have to be electrically connected, but like the cable themselves, that's nothing compared to what's in the back end. Like they worked with Broadcom to design their own ASIC for their routers to be able to handle their own fiber connector. So those are, if you are familiar with the industry, currently like level 3 uses 10 and 40 gig connectors. They are actually making 25 gig. So they design their own, and they're really saying that that's the future. 10 and 40 gig are not economically sustainable, and they are really driving the kind of hardware, data center, racks, server, SAN. Watch the James Hamilton Tuesday Night Live. It's a mind world of information about data centers. Those data centers where no one knows where they are, but AWS, it's pretty amazing. Right.
Cool. We do, these aren't here yet. Should we do one more question and then break?
Sorry, we didn't get the name. James Hamilton?
James Hamilton.
Yeah. He came up
Distinguished
he's
engineer of
he's
AWS.
IBM, Microsoft, and he's the vice president of Amazon and distinguished engineer. So he's the man behind the whole physical infrastructure. AWS doesn't use any link. Like they believe that if you transfer your packet to someone else to transit to another of your data center, then you run into more trouble. So basically, they do everything themselves, and yeah, like unbelievable. I was blown away.
Cool. So we're going to take a break here for about 10-15, and then we'll kick off with session 2. Go forth and talk with everyone.